Okay. We'll reconvene the April 16th, 2012 meeting of the District 99 Board of Education. We've been in closed session since 7 p.m. where the roll was taken and we have a full quorum. Ask everybody stand and we'll recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
Sorry, I said good.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sure. Have you seen it?
Okay, having concluded the closed session and the Pledge of Allegiance, item number 4 on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. Have members of the board had the opportunity to review the minutes? Any questions, corrections, clarifications? Hearing none, the chair would invite a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Member Davenport moves. Do we have a second?
Second.
Member Pavicic seconds. We call that vote, please.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Terry Pavicic.
Aye.
Julie Beckman.
Aye.
Deb Boyle.
Aye.
Nancy Kupka.
Aye.
Keith Mattoon.
Aye.
Bill White.
Aye, that motion carries. The minutes are approved. Next on the agenda is student perspectives. Dr. McDonald?
I think we'll have North Eye go first tonight. Mr. Kasek.
Thank you. Well, it's my pleasure to introduce students from a very special organization at North High School called Circle of Friends. Sponsor Diane McClellan is in the back. And we have some students here who want to tell you about the program. So we have Lorenzo and Mary, Frank, Anthony, and Franny. So if you guys want to come on up and you can talk about Circle of Friends, okay?
All right, hi, I'm Mary. I'm a sophomore at Downers Grove North, and I am secretary of Circle of Friends.
Hi, I'm Franny. I am a senior at Downers Grove North, and I am vice president. This is my co-vice president, Lorenzo.
Hi, I'm Anthony DiGiulio. I'm a senior at Downers Grove North, and I am president of Circle of Friends with Frank Young Jr. All right. So Circle of Friends is a club that developed over time as a means to connect students with more significant disabilities with other students who could act as members and develop friendships both in and out of the school. The club was developed over the course of 7 years and was informal until the last of spring last year. We became an official club at that time and continued to plan events and develop relationships. So some of the things that we've done is over the past year we've met at like the football games. I remember we went to the North-South football game. We got a group of people to come there and meet. And we did a couple of home games too where we all just meet up and we'd watch the games together. And then basketball games. Lorenzo was on the basketball team. So we got some people to come support the C-Spar team and root them on at some of the home and away games. For the one-act plays, Lorenzo's been doing some lighting behind the scenes work. He's how many one-acts have you done?
Under the African Nexans.
The next is a 2.
Next one, so 2? So 2
shows, and they were in the 1X.
Okay. Oh yeah, they were in the 1X. Forgot about that one. We actually got them in one of the school plays, and it was like part of the play was our group, and they went on stage and they acted and performed, and it was really good. And then Homecoming and Winter Olympics, we combined a team with both special needs students and regular students, and so this year we sported 2 teams for the Winter Olympics, and can't say we won, but we had fun, so that's what counts. So yeah, we supported our own. Over the summer, we have a courtyard in the middle of our school, and every Tuesday we'd meet in the morning from, I think it was 9 to 11, and we just have breakfast and we'd weed out the garden and we help make a path through the garden, and we'd meet every day and it'd be fun because we'd all just, sit around, talk, hang out. It was really fun. My bad.
Some other things we have done are a lot of students have parties at their houses, like Halloween parties, and everyone's welcomed and we'll have little invitations. That's a lot of fun. Some students invite others to go to church youth groups or out to eat, so just grab a little snack. We attend school plays together even if we're not in them. Lorenzo does like to do a lot of lighting. We accompany students on school field trips, and this year we went to what play did we go see? Christmas Carol. Yeah, we went to go see that. That was really cool. We go to Illinois State with a fan bus to cheer on the DGN Special Olympics team, and Lorenzo went to state for shot put.
Yep.
He's good at shot put. Yeah. And we're also members of the All Access Choir, which is new also, and we learn a song and we perform with the DGN Choir, which is a lot of fun. And we go to girls and boys track meets and we cheer on the track team. So.
Okay. Another thing Lorenzo is also involved in is that he tries to get in on the cross-country team at North. So he was big when Coop was a coach, and now he's still trying to get in it. So we definitely go to those meets. We sit together at the cafeteria. Sometimes we like to get kids at both special needs kids and education kids at their tables, so that they're not just sitting alone. We have parties across the lunch period, so the 4th, 5th, and 6th period lunch. We have themes. We had a Harry Potter theme lunch, Harry Potter theme party because we read all the books. Every holiday, Christmas, we have parties and everything, so those are really fun. Frank over here loves the school dances, so we all try to, right? Yeah, there you go. we all try to go to the school dances together, get a picture and everything. After this Friday, we're having a game day, right? We're having a game day after school, which is kind of a new thing. Also, along with the Harry Potter, each of the aides that work, there's like 21 student aides, we're all paired up with a student, and we're creating a project with them about the Harry Potter books, and we're using a bunch of different technology so they get used to the technology along with us getting used to it. So we did have like a kind of like a dinner meeting. I know on the Link Crew Day, we tried to meet a lot of their parents because that's easier to make really good connections, get phone numbers. It's easier to get them out when we have a better connection because the parents can trust us more. And then, so Lorenzo was one of the managers of the basketball team. We also had Ann being one of the managers of the basketball team. So then that also gets them out going. They're more part of the school. And then finally, one of the things that we kind of brought, me and Anthony are wearing the shirts, is a Spread the Word to End the Word Day, which is a campaign to end the word retarded in schools. So it's kind of it's basically a nationwide day, and we got posters and we had announcements. It was kind of just student run, and we wanted to have people realize what the day was about and everything. So that was definitely exciting. So currently we're doing the English presentations. So that's kind of where we're at. Yeah. So that is the Circle of Friends group. So, thank you.
Do any board members have questions? It was a wonderful presentation. Thank you.
Very good.
I don't have any questions, but I want to say that you embody what is everything that is good about this district. Wouldn't you all agree that this is just one of the most heartwarming presentations, and I have to say that this really makes us proud, and your parents should all be extremely proud of you. This is it's wonderful. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
One more question.
I was going to ask how involved the parents are. I think it's great that you said you got them all connected, but are they invited to your parties?
Yeah.
No.
Well, actually, over winter break, I was talking to Lorenzo's mom a lot because Lorenzo came out to 7 a.m. basketball practice every morning. So I was really me and his mom, even to get them out here today, we're constantly talking to try to get them involved, because that's the key component is having their parents talk to us so that they're comfortable with us going everywhere. So it's kind of, they're definitely a key component when they're involved.
Good for you. Very great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Okay, South High now?
Good evening. Several weeks ago, South High hosted our first ever African American Student Success Summit. And Kater Minnis and Zaria McFarland are two students who were there. All the members of our African American community, parents and students, were invited to come in and have an open discussion about really about our achievement gap and some ways to look at decreasing that gap and really helping our African American students. And Zaria and Kater are here to talk about that.
Hello, my name is Cater Minnis. I'm a senior at Downers Grove South. It was really nice to have this summit. It's about time, actually. I'm glad for it. It's good to see that, you know, people are noticing the fact that we're a little bit farther behind and we need a little bit of help. I have a younger sister that's a freshman and a younger brother that's a sixth grader, so even though I'm about to leave, I'm glad that, you know, things will be changed, at least for a little bit, and there will be a little bit more awareness in the future for them. At the summit, we talked a bit about some statistics that we saw having to do with African American achievement as opposed to the rest of the achievement in the school. And there were some really surprising statistics. Parents and students were taken aback. They were confused. They were all sorts of different emotions. You wouldn't really be able to explain unless you were there. And it was just really surprising for all of us to see exactly how far back we were. I mean, as a student and my friends as students that I was with, we kind of expected that we would be a lower achieving class, but we didn't expect to be as low as we actually were. There was such a bigger gap than we actually thought. And we had discussions about these statistics and what we thought about them. There were actually a few arguments and things between parents and teachers and students about how everything went and how everything made sense in our mind, because we were all just so confused, and we tried to work together and figure out some solutions to the problems, and Zaria is talking about those.
Hi, my name is Zaria McFarland. I'm a freshman at Downers Grove South High School. I am actively involved in basketball and softball, which I love here. These are some of the issues we came to a conclusion that we want to address. As I struggled in subject matters during the first semester of my freshman year, I got the impression that teachers were not so eager to help me, almost if they were expecting me to fail and not providing motivation for me to do better. I got the sense that they wanted to spend more time helping those kids who are expected to do better. Which leads us to the next concern, teachers in the school that look like us. There aren't many. While we make up around 11% of the student population, we don't have anyone that can identify with our ethnicity. There doesn't seem to be enough teachers that we can reach out to that will understand and help and maybe shed understanding to other teachers about what it may take for freshmen like me to succeed. I also have a few summary from the meeting that will assist in helping African American students improve and thrive in South. One of the activities we thought of was a mentor program. Many African American students may not have a strong home in life, and a mentor can assist in academic support. Another could be math and science, similar to SAS, which is Strategies for Academic Success, a resource in scheduling time with the teacher and not enough, especially if they're struggling with the key subjects. African American history classes, so that we can learn in school more ways our history is important to African culture. And that was about it. Or exercise compassion and understanding without giving a crunch. Teachers need to additional training African American culture and learning the statistics aren't everything. And so that's a summary about what we really talked about at the summit a few weeks ago.
Well, thank you. I'm very impressed with your ability to face head-on these types of issues. Does anybody on the board have any comments or questions that they have? Do you think what do you think we want to do going forward now to actually implement some of the solutions?
Well, we had some ideas other than just the African American teachers. We had some ideas about maybe with the mentoring, having other people that have succeeded in doing things well, to talk to the people that aren't doing things well, to motivate them, to pick them up when they need to. I'd be happy to do something like that for my friends and for people that I don't know, because as an individual you might succeed, but as a group you need to pull each other up. And so I feel like it'd be good to have a mentoring system like that. And high school seniors, and I mean, sure, we listen to our teachers and we pay attention in class and everything, but the thing that matters a lot to us is our peers. So I feel like the mentoring thing would be one of the best ways that we can help move things forward.
Thank you for that. I think I speak for the entire board that we would very much like to support types of programs that will allow everybody in our district to succeed, so that all of our students can go ahead. Anybody want to add anything?
Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to say I hope that this is just it sounds like you made the comment that that long overdue. It's about time we did something like this. Yeah. Hopeful that this is the start of a dialogue that we can build on going forward.
Right.
So I very much applaud the effort to recognize the problems that we have and then start looking for solutions. So very well done, and clearly you two are probably good role models for so many others as well. And this is where it starts, right? So,
right.
Well done. Thank you.
I just wanted to say I really appreciated your articulate approach to the issues, and to just say that the board does have an initiative to bring in a more diverse group of teachers. We really are. Our staff is working very hard to find them, because we really agree with you. Wish you well.
Thank you.
Thank you again, and keep up what you're doing. You're going in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, next up on the agenda, item 6, reception of visitors. Any member of the public wish to address the board on matters on our agenda this evening?
The public leaves.
Okay, I don't see anybody jumping to that opportunity. So we'll move on to item number 7, recommendations and reports of the superintendent. 7A, it's all about learning.
Okay, thank you, Mr. White. As the board is aware that we have implemented a program called PBIS. Acronym is Positive Behavior Intervention Supports. Is that correct, Mr. Whitehead?
That's correct.
And a component of that program is collecting, reporting, and analyzing data. And so this is another opportunity. This is not the first data report we've had, but it is an opportunity to give the board another glimpse of the data we've gathered, some of the positives we note, and some of the things that we note that we continue. Where we have not met our goal, we have more work to do. I'll leave it at that, and Mr. Whitehead will make the report.
Thank you, Dr. McDonald. As I've presented in the past to the board, PBIS we're in our first year of full implementation. Last year was our rollout year, the term that we use in PBIS, where we introduce what we're going to do. This is our first year of implementation. And PBIS works on a tier system similar to our RTI, and we also use the familiar triangle. On the left being the academic side, that's what we mostly focus when we talk about RTI. On the right-hand side are the behavioral systems, and that's where PBIS comes into play here in the district. So the pyramid that you see will become a familiar symbol here in District 99. It's also used nationwide as well as you talk about tiered interventions. Depending on where you are, some school districts use the term RTI and PBIS, other districts just use the term tiered interventions. That being said, this is our first year of implementation and first year of Tier 1, the universal level interventions that you see at the bottom where the green is. And that means that whatever we're putting into place is intended for all students, regardless of academic ability or behavioral ability as well, and also across all demographic settings. That being said, the data that we collected this year really focuses on the type of interventions that are going on throughout the district for the universal level. Also, the data that we'll be reporting this year will focus on all students. It's not broken down by demographic or gender because under the universal intervention in Tier 1, it's really focused on everyone. Next year, as we start building our Tier 2, our secondary interventions, where you start to see where the green turns into yellow, the data will really focus on, as you see, some students that are at risk. So you'll see small group interventions, some individualized behavior supports. So the reports next year will be broken down by demographic. So you can see kind of where the gaps are in the services that we're providing, depending on the students' needs and abilities, et cetera. That being said, what I've broken down the data this time is into Code A and Code B, discipline referrals. Code A are what you may call minor discipline actions. Code B are the majors. So what you'll see in this report, first the information will be broken down by building, followed by graphs, and then we'll show a comparison of the data year to date through third quarter for the district as well. So the first slide is Downers Grove North, so you can see the areas that we have are excessive tardies, breach of attendance policy, failure to serve detention, dress code violation, and leaving campus without permission. On the left-hand side is 2011, and on the right-hand side is year-to-date up through third quarter this year. And here's the graphic representation. So as you can see in the red are the areas for this year, and the blue is last year. So you can see there is a pretty good decrease in tardies, and also with our attendance policy, and the failure to serve detention has decreased as well. Dress code did not change that much, and the leaving campus without permission did go up a little bit, but that also could have been because we were identifying more as well. But speaking to tardies and attendance, you can also see at the other buildings as well, that was one of the areas that we really hit pretty hard as far as our lesson plans. So if that is correct, then the lesson plans that we have provided have been working and been making sense for the students. Here we have for South Campus, the same areas that we're looking at: excessive tardies, breach of attendance, failure to serve detention, dress code violation, and leaving campus without permission. 2011 on the left and 2012 on the right. So you can see just by the numbers here, there have been some decreases in the areas. And with the graphic representation, you see the tardies have gone down. The attendance has gone up a little bit, but that could also be the way that we are tracking attendance as well. Failed to serve detention has decreased, and the dress code violation has decreased significantly.
I think there's a lot to do with that.
So,
Yeah.
you know, but you know, also, you know, one of the things though that I do have to say is that the staff has worked really hard on a lot of the PBS matrices that we talk about. So, you know, with that, you have a lot more people that are on, you know, the same page and making sure that the students understand what the expectations are in the district. So something like the dress code does make sense where it would have decreased a lot from the previous year. So as we look at district-wide, here are the top 5 again, 2011 on the right, 2012 on the left. You can see there have been some significant decreases district-wide. And in the graphic representation, you see tardies have decreased pretty significantly. Attendance, a little bit of a decrease, but students failing to serve detentions, you see that decreases pretty good, and that shows that students are accepting responsibility for their actions. The dress code violation is down, and also leaving class without leaving campus without permission has decreased as well. Now we look at the Code B violation, which are the major offenses. This is the North Campus on the left, 2011 on the right, 2012. So the areas that we're looking at is possession, using under the influence of alcohol or drugs, obscene, abusive language or gestures to a staff member, provoking or involvement in a fight, fighting, and being in possession of another person's property. Here's the graphic representation of that. You do see a slight increase in the drugs and alcohol use, but you know, once again, that also could be the fact that we are recognizing that, and also we're identifying that students are you know, are under the influence, which means that, you know, unfortunately the students are partaking in activity. But the other thing is that the teachers and the staff members are being more aware of that, so that means they're noting it as well. So we are doing that. We have our student assistance coordinators who do a good job with working with our students for that as well. We do a good job about the prevention activities, but you know, once again, it just does show that we are being diligent and we are identifying those students as well. The language has gone down significantly. Students that are provoking a fight, there's an increase in the fighting as well, and the possession of other students' personal property. But there, you know, also once again, we're not comparing the same students of last year to this year. So we do have some students that are coming in new to the district as freshmen compared to last year's students. But it is a graphic representation of where we have and where we are in the building at North. Here's South. Once again, 2011 on the left, 2012 on the right. The same discipline code and infractions. And here we have graphic representation as well. Now, once again, you do see some increases in language and the provoking of the fight, the fighting and the possession of another person's property has decreased. But once again, this is representation of the entire school year thus far. So, we do have some areas that have increased. The spring does take on some other areas where at times some of the incidences do increase due to weather and things like that. But I do have to say though that the staff in both campuses, South as well as North, has been very diligent about addressing the behaviors as well. So although the incidents have increased since last year, we have done a good job of making sure that students are aware of the consequences that take place, and also the parents as well. So as we look at the code B district-wide, from on the left you have 2011, and on the right you have 2012. The numbers vary differently between the offenses. And here's the graphic representation. So this is district-wide, based on the numbers that you saw from both buildings. But once again, this is throughout the entire school year. So we do have some increases, but this is not anything that is unique to PBIS or any other system that implements in the first year. You do see a gradual increase of some of the areas. So I'm interested to see what the data looks like at the end of the school year as we compare year to date and year to date from last year to this year as well. So it'll be interesting to see what our numbers are. I would gather though that based on the information that we have here, and then for this final quarter, that we will probably see some decreases overall. So if anything, at the minimum, we'll probably see some of our data level out district-wide in our code B office disciplinary referrals. Any questions?
I think we asked this the last time, and I'm not sure, so you can refresh my memory. Are we encouraging our feeder districts to participate in PBIS so that maybe some of these freshman students will, be able to, as they say, hit the ground running and be acclimated into our system a little bit better?
And it's actually a good question. I know that we did address it previously. And through the Illinois PBIS network, they do a really, really good job about making sure that that feeder school districts are working in conjunction with the high school districts, because they understand that for a student to come into high school at 9th grade, a lot of work and a lot of behaviors are already set in. We here at the high school level, we kind of inherit some of those behaviors, and we do our best to make sure that we're working with those students. It is a limited amount of students, but a lot of the early work at PBIS, and even to this day, a lot of the research does point to early intervention, and that's really where a lot of the efforts can be put into working in positive behaviors. I do know that 2 of our feeder school districts are PBIS districts, and a couple of the other districts have some PBIS buildings, but not district-wide. But we are in conversations about making sure that we can have more of our districts and buildings on board, because it's very important to the system. And then and through the Illinois PBIS network and the national network, it is best practice to have feeder school districts and high school districts on board.
So I think that's really great that you're encouraging, and even more encouragement to get them to participate. I think that's really great.
Other questions?
Yeah, I just, first of all, just to commend you. I think it's great work. I think especially for any kind of quality improvement project of this magnitude, it's not atypical to see spikes because people are more sensitive to reporting. But when you report your numbers, are those occurrences or are those individuals, unique individuals?
Those are occurrences.
Okay.
Those are occurrences. So like could be one student.
Repeated.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Thank you.
And that's one question that I had is, are we able to track in the future moving forward repeat offenders, number one? And I think the next point would be very difficult to do, but what type of example is this setting as a deterrent for other students? You know, with regards to Class B type of offenses. Oh, I see that, you know, Jimmy got in trouble for Class B and PBS, so that's really going to deter me moving forward. I think that's really, really hard to track, but I'd be interested to see something about that as a method of deterrence, because obviously high schools are high schools. Kids are going to do at every single school across America. But what impact does it have as a deterrent for other students? I'd be interested.
Well, to answer your first question, moving forward, we will be breaking down the data more specifically, because that's when we're going to be able to identify what type of services and supports that we need. So as we look at those repeat offenders, sometimes referred to as frequent flyers, depending on what type of disciplinary infraction that they have, and also specific interventions for groups. Could be by gender, could be by ethnicity, but we really want to respond to what the data says. And we do have those data sets available now, but as we report out, because we are in Tier 1, we really like to report out what's going on district-wide or building-specific without necessarily identifying some of those specific groups. The second part is, as far as deterrent to behaviors, PBIS does really look on the positive and what can we do to make sure that everyone understands. The level of support at the Tier 2 level really looks at how can we support those students, so we get them into early intervention opportunities so they're not exhibiting some of those behaviors, and necessarily doesn't allow us to consequence students for that. It just looks at it as a total framework. What are we doing to support the students beforehand, so then therefore we're not looking at consequences.
Right, and to my first question, I'm sure there's, you know, parents and other community members looking, wow, fighting, I can't believe I'm in drug use, and there's a lot of it are repeat offenders. And I think if you broke that data down, that they would be able to see that, like, well, let's take a step back, it's not as bad as the way it's being portrayed.
Just one last question. I'm not familiar with the literature, but you've done such a large implementation of this. Have you thought about doing a poster or a presentation at a professional conference?
Actually, we have had some requests to do some presentations here District 99. We've been recognized nationally and also within the state as well, based on a lot of the lesson plans that we've done. We won actually 3 awards at the National PBS Conference in March, and those had to
and
do
your
with
videos too.
Videos.
Yeah, the videos, right.
So we have those, and also we have been recognized for the work that we've done in the district as well, where the Illinois PBIS Network has asked us to do presentations for the upcoming summer leadership summit. It is challenging though, because it's the summer, a lot of our staff members are around, so you know, hopefully we can get some folks to participate. And finally, we have been recognized by the state because, as you know, social and emotional learning is part of the curriculum now, and Superintendent Cook has put a big push about PBIS into the schools, because he knows that's one way that you can address social and emotional learning. And that being said, the district has been recognized at both buildings, where legislators will be coming in to make some site visits, because they've heard about the work that we've done early on here in District 99 through PBIS. So we were notified of that, and we'll be hearing more about that soon on the legislators' visits.
How cool. Will they be coming in this spring?
Yes, in the spring.
Very good.
So as I find out the official date, they want it to be a site visit and kind of let us know and just kind of pop up. But as I find out some more information, I'll definitely update the board.
It'll be interesting.
2 words, national meeting.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Excellent report.
Yeah.
Next on the agenda is item 7B. Mr. Cassis here from the Downers Grove Economic Development Corporation.
Thank you very much. Let me start off by introducing myself. Michael Casa. I'm president of the Downers Grove Economic Development Corporation. I started this new position in July, and this is a great opportunity for me. I feel very fortunate to have this job, and everyone in the community has really made me feel welcome. Let me give you a little background. The Economic Development Corporation was formed in 2006, so we have been around for 6 years. And our offices are in the Esplanade Center in Downers Grove, Butterfield, and 355. And the mission of the EDC is the retention and attraction of business into Downers Grove, which of course helps the tax base, helps create jobs, and helps create a strong local economy. Prior to coming to Downers Grove, I spent 13 years running the Economic Development Corporation in Oswego. And prior to that, I grew up in Michigan and I was doing economic development work in the Metro Detroit area, again, before coming to Illinois. When we talk about our structure, we are governed by a board of directors. That board includes Dr. McDonald. It includes the directors of all the governmental bodies, the mayor, and many, many business leaders from Downers Grove. We have a 3-person staff, myself and two other individuals, and then we also have what we call investors. Those are governmental bodies and companies who invest their time and a few dollars in our organization. We are a public-private partnership. Prior to the creation of the EDC, economic development was done by the village through a commission. The staff were village employees, and in 2006 the village made the decision to switch to a public-private economic development organization, which is sort of the common and it's the trend in economic development to have these partnerships. It does require that we receive support from both the public and private sector, and we've been fortunate to receive that support. We are the marketing arm to a great extent of this community. Every day of the week I work with commercial, industrial, and office brokers, developers, site consultants, and corporate real estate managers who work for individual companies. And so we do all those sort of things that any business does to promote themselves. We run advertising, promoting Downers Grove as a business address. We develop collateral materials that we can hand out at trade shows and give to our clients. We maintain a whole slew of demographic and other business information that is oftentimes requested by a business person that we're working with. We have a website on economic development that again helps tell the Downers Grove story. We go to trade shows, again, like any other business. There's a major commercial trade show coming up in May, and I'll be working along with many other economic developers from DuPage County, and we're going out there as a team. We maintain a database of available sites. So whether someone wants to buy a building, buy a piece of property, or lease space in a building, we have a complete inventory of those available sites. That, in effect, is what the product that we are out there marketing. And of course, every day of the week, the phone rings. We receive inquiries from business people, large and small, some local, some regional, some national, that may have an interest in opening their business, or they're calling on behalf of someone who has an interest in opening a business in Downers Grove. There are 4 segments that we work on. The first, and perhaps the most important, is the existing businesses in Downers Grove. We try really hard to pay attention to the existing business community. In our industry, the term retention means that we're helping that company stay in Downers Grove. It is not referring to a company that is going out of business. When Circuit City closed nationwide, there's nothing we could do about that. But our job is to try to prevent a company from leaving Downers Grove. A difficult task because it's tough to keep tabs on thousands of businesses who oftentimes don't share their business plans with you, but it's something we do spend a lot of time on. And the other 3 areas are for new business attraction. Commercial development. That includes retail, restaurants, anything that's really consumer-oriented, everything from attracting national tenants to helping develop and redevelop existing shopping centers. Office development. This community is known for several things in the Chicago area, but perhaps no more than our office sector. We are one of 3 communities in DuPage County that are premier locations for office tenants based on the millions of square feet of office space. It's Oak Brook, ourselves, and Naperville. That's who we compete with for corporate headquarters and division headquarters, as well as new office building development. And the final one is industrial. You know, in a lot of communities, industrial development is perhaps the most important thing that their community has. It is not, the inventory we have of industrial space in Downers Grove is limited, but it is something that I'd like to work on. I'd like to see the structures, the facilities in the Ellsworth Business Park become enhanced, as well as to focus a little bit more on some of our other industrial areas in town. A balanced economy of large businesses and small, a balanced economy of businesses that are based here versus others that are based somewhere else, as well as a commercial, industrial, and office market, makes for a strong local economy. Let me mention 4 projects that were fairly recent. Each quarter, the national real estate brokerage firms publish a quarterly report on leasing activity in different markets in that most recent quarter. And in the 4th quarter of 2011, the quarter that's been reported on most recently, of all the lease transactions in the entire Chicago suburbs, from Lake County all the way down to the south suburbs, the largest and the 3rd largest projects were in Downers Grove. The largest project was a Midwest mortgage servicing headquarters for J.P. Morgan Chase over at Highland Landmark, and the 3rd was the corporate headquarters for Javi Global Solutions in the Esplanade Center in the building that Sarah Lee is currently in. So we were pretty happy about that. And did a press release and got some very good promotion of Downers Grove and a lot of real estate and business publications. Another one that I wanted to mention is that, people don't know this, but State Farm has consolidated all of its Chicago area claims offices into one location, and that's here in Downers Grove. They've completed their consolidation. They have 600 employees that are located over in the Wood Creek office building where Blue Cross is also located. 600 employees, and it's the 2nd largest State Farm facility in the state of Illinois, second only to their corporate headquarters in Bloomington. Third one that I wanted to mention is that the PGA Tour Golf Superstore, which is principally a retailer in the southern part of the United States, is entering the Illinois market with 2 stores in the state, one in Schaumburg and one in Downers Grove. And they're going to occupy the space that used to be Rossi Furniture on Butterfield next to the former Home Depot expo site, and they will be open in June. And finally, on April 27th, we're going to break ground on another office building on Esplanade, a 50,000 square foot building. And if you know, again, if you're not familiar with where Esplanade is, it's that large center at Butterfield and 355 where Carlucci's is and the DoubleTree is. So another Class A office building will be going up in Downers Grove. The other part of what we do at the EDC is we also run the Visitors Bureau, and it's something that a lot of people in town aren't aware of, and it's something we've been doing for the past few years, but in a kind of a quiet way, and we're going to try to make it not so quiet. So we need people to know that Downers Grove is a great place not only to open a business, but it's a great place to visit. We have 7 hotels in town, including 2 full-service hotels. There are lots of restaurants in Downers Grove, lots to see and do, and a tremendous downtown. And so whether someone is coming here to see a friend or family, they're coming here for a specific event, or they're a business traveler that needs to stay in the area, we want them staying in our hotels, eating in our restaurants, and that generates revenue, tax revenue, as well as it's a great job creator. And some of the things that we do to promote Downers Grove as a venue for visitors include things like advertising. We spend about $20,000 a year purchasing ads in state and regional publications, most of them tourism guides, and others that are targeted for specific business segments, so that people know this is a great place for them to visit as well as to open a business. We publish material like a visitor's guide and a dining guide, and have a whole slew of visitor information. So when someone calls our office, which happens quite a bit, can you send me a visitor's packet? We have a lot of information that we can send them. We conduct familiarization tours for like group tour operators and travel media who want to get familiar with Downers Grove, exhibit at trade shows, and social media, which is important in economic development, but it is really important on the tourism side. So we maintain a Facebook page and Twitter, and of course there's a website. And we have the official mobile app for Downers Grove. So if you go to the App Store and you will see Discover Downers Grove, that's the app for the community. The Downers Grove isn't known as a destination for visitors traditionally, and it's important for us to do that because, again, that just helps our local economy. You know, there's about 48,000 people that live in Downers Grove, but we have a daytime population of 110,000. It's all those people who are working in Downers Grove, who are visiting Downers Grove, and that's a lot of money, frankly, coming into our community. We want to try to capture as much of it as we can. Before I take any questions you may have, let me just say that when I was working in Oswego, I was very active in District 308. They put me on committees, helped with events, and so I welcome the opportunity to do that here. I've heard so many good things about District 99. I had researched this town before I took this job, and had talked to people in the Oswego area, in Naperville, where I live, and I just heard some really great things about this district. So you've got to volunteer in me and let me know how I can help. And we
Foundation.
And we are going to be inviting District 99 to become an investor to actually join our organization. It is extremely common for school districts to support economic development. Except for the village, there is no other governmental body in town other than the 2 school districts who benefit from economic development. When we break ground on April 27th for that new office building, that office building is not going to generate sales tax. It's going to generate property taxes. And a part of that, as you know, is going to come to this district. So every time we bring a new building in, District 99 benefits from that, as well as the entire community. Again, I'm just so pleased to be here. I think I had a chance to give out some of my business cards. I'm going to leave some more here for you, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions?
I had a question regarding occupancy of the current buildings. Do you have an idea off the top of your head what the occupancy rate is right now? And is it going down, up with the economy fluctuations?
That's a good question. Let me answer it this way. I don't have those numbers with me, but it's different for each segment. Okay. So, for example, on the industrial side, the occupancy rate is extremely high, the vacancy rate being very low. On the office market, for the Class A office space, it is our occupancy rate is very high. There's only one Class A office building that really is in need of a signature tenant at this point.
That's good.
Probably where you will see vacancies, and this is true every community in America, tends to be in smaller strip centers and in what used to be owner-occupied or single-tenant buildings like on Ogden. And that's a very important part of the work that we do. When we see a building that's vacant, we either want to find a way to find a tenant for them or to redevelop that. You know, there isn't a lot of open space in Downers Grove. There is a little bit for the office market, but for commercial and for industrial, you have to take what we already have and redevelop it if we want to enhance it. It's much more difficult than putting a new building up on a greenfield site, but it's important that we do that, especially for some of the older shopping centers that we have in Downers Grove. Whether it's on Butterfield, whether it's on 63rd or on 75th. Most of the shopping centers in Downers Grove are older. That's the bad news. The good news is their occupancy rates are very high. So that actually is a double-edged sword because, you know, it's easier to redevelop a shopping center when you have a lot of vacancies. So you have to pay attention to your existing tenants, but there are ways to do it. And I'd like us to see us enhance and upgrade the retail centers that we have in Downers Grove, and especially on Butterfield, so we can compete better for those upscale restaurants and upscale retailers that have been going to Lombard and Oak Brook.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's very.
Other questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Thank you. Good work. Yeah, that's encouraging.
Item 7C, a third quarter financial report.
Mr. Stalen?
We'll put the exhibits up here for the anybody who might want to see it in the audience. I'm going to really just start with the fund balance report that we have.
Thank you.
You've had a chance to look at the narrative. And basically, this is going to be a pretty short report because things are really very much in line with expectations. The main purpose of this report, just to, for everybody's recollection, is it's cash basis for the most part, other than early taxes. And there was one other adjustment made. You notice in the capital outlay it says net of an $800,000 recovery. We're still collecting some insurance reimbursement for expenditures we made in this fiscal year to repair some of the roofs and the tennis courts at South that were hit by the small tornado that touched down. So really, this is a budget monitoring tool, and its goal really is, now that it's third quarter, we take a look at it. We look for any variances from our budget, and after this, we really start moving more aggressively in preparation and development of the 2012-13 budget. So it just is a monitor for us, and it's good news. We have really, it's very close to where we expect it to be, particularly on the fund balance side. You notice the bottom line there in the transfer column, $2 million higher. That's just so you're aware of the variation is there. If you recall, we have $1.5 million of the HVAC renovations at the South Campus that we paid for out of operations this year, and that's already been paid and transferred to that fund. So that's really the biggest part of that $2 million increase for that exhibit. If we move along to the revenue, the next exhibit. This is, and I'm just going to stay on a combined group. Pointed out one point, actually, at the December quarterly, after 2 quarters or 6 months of operations, we pointed out the replacement taxes projected by the state are going to be down. So we know that going in. It's not a huge number. It was actually up 160,000 or so more than we expected it to be last year, coming in at about $1 million. So we kept that same amount in our budget, and it's going to go back down. So I mean, it's that kind of an account that is difficult to really monitor. We don't count on it going up. We don't really worry too much. The $120,000 is a big number, but in the total increment of the budget, it's not a big concern for us. Total revenues are right on the money at 96% for this year. We expect it to be 100% collected overall, or something extremely close to that. So it's not going to cause us to do much variation. I mean, I know I'll be budgeting probably closer to $800,000 for replacement taxes next year, and somehow in the course of preparing, the budget and keeping it balanced, we'll have to be making some reduction somewhere to offset for it, but we haven't really identified anything yet. The next exhibit, the expenditures paid, again, pretty much right on track. 70% expended this year at this point in time compared to 69%. We are up a little bit on the salaries. And part of that, we looked into it, is some substitutes. So we have had a little bit higher than expected substitutes. I didn't put that in the written report, but I was looking into it a little bit Friday and over the weekend. So that's really one piece of it there. That's less controllable on our parts. It was in the non-discretionary substitutes, so it's going to be illnesses and things like that, maternity leaves, things like that come into play. But really, overall, again, we're pretty close to right where we expected to be. Some of the line items, if you look at, actually were reduced. For instance, the last item, tuition, last year the budget was 3.6 million. This year it's 3.4 million. We're actually running less on an actual basis compared to that number. So you have to be careful when you look at individual lines and that and overall. We do expect that to come in very close to budget at the end of the year. So we're feeling pretty comfortable with that. So overall, again, it's a really positive view for us. We'll be able to start moving ahead. We do have a lot of budget Board of Education action on budget items like the staffings and items like that for next year. So we'll be able to start moving ahead pretty aggressively with the development of the budget for next year. Our anticipation would be that we would have the tentative budget actually out in July of this year. Which is early for us. We'd like to try and do that and then have the final in August as opposed to August, September. Partly so we wouldn't have to change our board meeting dates because we have 30 days in between. It's an aggressive approach, but I think we would like to try and do that. So if that's not going to happen, you'll know by June, but we expect that that's our goal right now. Just move it up a little bit. And that's it for this report unless you have any questions for me.
Do we have any questions?
Cool.
Hearing none, hearing no questions, we'll move on to Subpart D, Insurance Committee report.
See you again, Mr. Stalin.
Sure. And actually, you'll see this report in two locations. One is, this is more the informational report to give you the actions of our brokers hub, Jim Kennedy of Hub International, who helps us monitor claims. You recall we did a workshop and talked about moving up the approval date, so we have an action item as well for the premiums for this year. It actually is going to be pretty easy because the claims are coming in so low compared to our projection for that. For those that we feel very comfortable that we will not need to make any increases in our largest and most populated plan. That would be the PPO plans. The HMO plans in the health side are conventional type plans where we actually purchase the coverage through Blue Cross. They have two levels of plans. And we do have an increase in those plans, and that's more nothing we can really act on other than to agree to accept it or stop the plans, I guess, because these are Blue Cross dictate the premiums to us based on claims, and they also want to keep a certain spread between the two plans. And so they will actually tell us which plan we have to put at what particular rate and what premium. And so that's why you see a 2% increase in one plan and 6% in the other. So it's less discretionary on our part to be able to set those. But overall, we're very pleased with the operations of the plan. We are doing things aggressively. We are looking at a different wellness provider. We do have a wellness day where we try and get individuals to come in and have a screening, voluntary screening. We work closely with Blue Cross so that if some of it will take directly out of the trust itself, but also it goes against their wellness benefits and things like that. So we work really closely to get that recorded through Blue Cross. It's becoming more popular. We're a little disappointed that we haven't had a real heavy turnout for that. So we're looking at different alternatives again. And again, moving to a different wellness provider with maybe some ideas in terms of how to incent some of the individuals. So overall, we're very pleased with the claim activity of our plans, and we're actually in the dental plans as well. I guess I should point out, for the dental plans, there's one benefit change that we're recommending. We have not changed the for in-network care from $2,000 we're going to recommend moving that to $2,500. We haven't made a change in that in well over 10 years, and
that would be nice.
So we're going to kind of just bump that up. If we'd been doing it a few percent a year, it would be at that point anyways. But and it affects so few employees. But there are some individuals that are doing a good thing. They're staying in network, but they do have some. Occasionally, we're talking 3 to 6 individuals. We think that kind of have some more extensive work, and they trip over that. $2,000 limit, so we're going to move it up to $2,500. It won't have a big impact on our premium expense or our claims expense. And so there's a recommendation still, that plan is running so well with, as new people come into the district, new hires, they come in, they're picking a dentist, they're going in, so it actually is working very well. So we have, I think it's over 96% in network care on that plan, which is pretty good. So that's basically the report. You'll see an action item, which is in the last page of this exhibit, showing what the actual rates are. And you'll notice there's COBRA rates just as well, so we can have formal action just in case. Occasionally we have an individual who requests coverage under COBRA where they take continuation or extended coverage. And so we'll have action on those rates as well. That'll be in the action part of the agenda.
Okay, any questions?
Very good. I just had one question, Bill.
Sure.
Just a general question. The insurance committee is obviously still working well together. Were they all pretty happy with this? And
yeah, we have some really good people on that committee. They have great suggestions about how to
That's
get
great.
news out. They want us to be more aggressive with the wellness. They want us to. We had the last meeting. In fact, there was a good conversation about starting a little bit of a competition between departments. And so having the department chairs get more involved. I mean, a lot of things. A lot of people don't think about a wellness or a screening or their health, and they get so many barraged from so many different areas that they may not think about it much. And if they see something, they have 2 seconds to either put it or throw it away. So we're trying a little bit different way to get into it. Maybe with departments. This is a tentative idea, but that's the type of thing.
It's a great idea.
Is coming from the individuals on the committee. They're really bright people and are trying to make it successful. So we're real pleased with the ideas. We'll see where it goes. We're going to get the new wellness provider out.
That sounds like a good idea.
Work with them too. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, if there's no further questions, we'll move on to subpart E, Freedom of Information requests.
Thank you, Mr. White. The district received 2 requests under the Freedom of Information Act, and both were fulfilled affirmatively over the past month.
Okay, with that, we move to item 8, the consent agenda, subparts A through F. The chair invites a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Member Pavicic moves. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Member Davenport seconds. Call that vote, please.
Terry Pavicic.
Aye.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Nancy Kupka. Aye. Keith Mattoon.
Aye.
Beckman.
Aye.
Deb Boyle.
Aye.
Bill White.
Aye, the motion carries. The consent agenda has been approved. Next item on the agenda is subpart 9, recommendations for action. First of all, subpart A, resolution on 2011 tax rates. That's what we're saying.
Yeah, Mr. Stalen is up again.
Great, I'll jump right back into it.
Mr. Stalen's meeting tonight.
It's a busy week putting this back in.
Yeah. Sure of that.
Each year, it's either November and or December, we make a decision on the extension of our taxes, and then, but it's kind of a blind request. We're asking for an extension amount, but at that time, we don't know what the assessed valuation is. We don't know what the new construction values would be. So the last part of my, following my memo was an exhibit, which you've seen it in a similar format that we presented in November of this year, because our request was well below the 5% limitation under the truth and taxation limitation of 5%. We weren't required to do a 2-step process where you have a hearing and you do it in November and December. That's occurred periodically we do that. So we made this our levy request in November, and at that time I was just guessing, educated guess by working with our assessors, but kind of an educated guess what our new construction value would be. Thought it would be 0.56, and it's 0.57, so I mean we got it pretty close. A big part of that one, though, and this is something that's important, is particularly important for this year, is that about better than a third of that new construction really is from a TIF that in Bolingbrook that has finally rolled off and has now rolled onto our tax. So We did anticipate that, and we do have the ability to capture the taxes on that TIF as it rolls back into our assessed valuation. With Village of Bolingbrook, as well as our assessor in Lyle that covers those that particular property that came under the tax rolls. So we're very pleased to have it pretty close. The new revenue that we'll have from this extension will be about 2.1%. The assessed valuation did drop again this year. We expect it to drop again next year. It's because of the dampened effect of the way that the assessors roll out the assessments for us. It's on the tax rolls. It's a weighted average, but it's also over multiple years. So we will see it probably another year or two, even though the assessors have said that the home values have actually stabilized and are starting to come back. It works against us both ways. Those coming back, it'll be slower coming back for us in particular. So we're very pleased with where we ended up with this. It was just about perfect in terms of what we thought it would be. So again, this is the final piece. What was required in April here, though, is that the clerk gives us 1 week to respond to the new information, which is the actual assessed valuation and the new construction, and then we have to move the extension around between individual funds and tell them what funds we want to apply it to. And otherwise, they just do an arbitrary allocation to the funds based on whatever percentage of the request was that the actual values are allowed to be. And so they would have discounted it by 2 or 3% in every fund. But what we want to do is concentrate the levy in particular funds. In fact, you'll notice in here, I'm rolling back a little bit. If you're looking at the exhibit, the IMRF fund a little bit. We actually have, in the IMRF fund, there's the IMRF levy as well as the Social Security levy. Both of those are accounted for in the same fund. And if we divide those and look at them individually, the IMRF has a high positive balance, and the Social Security portion of that fund has a low or even a negative balance at times. And so we're concentrating more of the dollars on Social Security than IMRF, and we're letting the IMRF come back down a little bit. So there's a little bit of management in here. Big picture, it doesn't change anything. We can't increase one fund without decreasing another fund, but we are managing it between the individual funds. And that's all I have. So but there is action. So you'll see this as an action item, asking for
That's what we're doing right now.
approval of the rates that we had to have those to the
It's already done.
in 5 business days, and it's always during spring break when the gentleman drops this on us, but that's okay. I think it's your timing. It's just the timing when it always happens for them.
Does anybody have any informational or factual questions of Mr. Stalin before we ask for a motion?
One quick one. What, for our friends and neighbors, Mr. Stalin, what, for an equally assessed home value of, say, $300,000, how much extra will that be in their tax bill approximately?
The impact to the homeowners should be 1.5% increase. I don't have the dollar amount in front of me. I actually could have calculated that. I apologize. I think it's going to be a fairly nominal impact. It's going to be, I don't even want to throw a number out and be wrong. I can report that to you later. But again, 1.5% on average.
So I think when they look at these numbers, okay, yeah, what does it mean to my bottom line?
Yeah.
I think would be helpful. Thank you.
Anybody else? Any other questions? Factual questions? Okay, with that, the chair would invite a motion.
I would move
Okay.
that we approve the tax rates as the tax levy rates as they have been presented.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the 2011 levy tax rates. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Davenport seconds. Now we have discussion. Any discussion pro or against the motion? Going once, going twice. Call that vote, please.
Julie Beckman.
Aye.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Nancy Kupka.
Aye.
Keith Mattoon.
No.
Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Deb Boyle.
No.
Bill White.
Aye. The motion carries. The levy's been approved. Item 8B, financial, let's see, I'm on the consent agenda. Item 8B is approval of 2012-2013 premiums for employee medical and dental plans. Mr. Stalin again, I believe?
I'm sorry.
This is what I just covered, and this is the rates themselves. You'll see at the end of it, the memo, the medical plans, there's no increase planned for the PPO plans, 2% increase for the HMO C plan, and 6% increase for the HMO D plan, and no increase for the dental plans.
Any questions from Mr. Stalin on this? We've been through this before. The chair invites a motion with respect to this item.
So moved.
Member Pavicic moves that we approve the approval of premiums of 2012-2013 for the medical and dental plans. Is there a second?
Second.
Member Kupka seconds that. Any discussion? Okay, call that vote, please.
Terry Pavicic.
Aye.
Nancy Kupka.
Aye.
Keith Mattoon.
Aye.
Julia Beckman.
Aye.
Deb Boyle.
Aye.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Bill White.
Aye. That motion carries. The Insurance Committee report for the current year has been approved. The next item is C, award of bid for pool building masonry repairs.
Mr. Schock?
The environment of an indoor swimming pool facility is very harsh because of the humidity levels. And that harshness accelerates the wear and tear of building equipment and the structure itself, walls, roofs, floors, and such. This project is a tuck pointing project for for inside and outside masonry walls. It is a masonry structure. This is not an unusual situation. In fact, over a decade ago, we had a similar project at North High School, but the deterioration was such that we had to completely rebuild the masonry walls. This is what I would consider really to be routine, not unusual, certainly not the first time and won't be the last time, but structurally the building is in very good condition, and with this kind of maintenance and waterproofing the masonry walls, we'll continue to keep that building in good condition. Fortunately, because of the construction environment, we had a lot of bids, and all but one of those bids were well under the budget. The low bid is by a contractor that we're familiar with, who has worked in the district in the past, and it's about 33% below what our engineering estimate was for. So we're real pleased with those numbers, and we're planning on doing this work in the summer when the building is not in use.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Shack before I invite a motion? Ms. Beckman?
A typical question, why is there such a huge spread in the bid amounts? What was Grove Masonry going to do for us for $227,000?
You know, you're right, that's always a good question, and this is one of those projects where it's a square foot bid process. Everybody is paying prevailing wages. It's very clear on the drawings and specifications what the work is, and the only thing I can suggest other than the high bid, who obviously wasn't real interested in the job, but
Right.
loved to take it for a large profit. It's how they organize and mobilize their troops, and how much work they can get out of them in a given day. So really, contractors typically won't share anything more than that with us.
I'm sure.
After their numbers. But we do know it's a good bidding environment for us, and we've repeatedly seen this for the past couple of years, numbers coming in well under budget and under our engineering estimates. And yet the quality of work is remaining high, and we've been real pleased with the work.
Oh, that's good.
To be fair, the high bidder may have just made a mistake as well, so we don't know.
That's true.
But I've seen that happen. So.
Okay, other questions? The chair invites a motion to approve this item.
So moved.
Okay. Member Pavicic moves to award the bid to Lynn Black Construction Company in the amount of $96,250. Do we have a second?
Second.
Member Beckman seconds. Any discussion? Call that vote, please.
Terry Pavicic.
Aye.
Julia Beckman.
Aye.
Deb Boyle.
Aye.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Nancy Kupka.
Aye.
Keith Mattoon.
Aye.
Bill White.
Aye, the motion carries and the bid has been awarded. Now we have item 9D, award of bid for kitchen equipment replacement.
Mr. Schock again.
The two kitchens that support our student cafeterias in the two high schools are very large and have a lot of commercial equipment in them, get a lot of use, and through good maintenance, we're able to keep equipment for a long, long time. However, there is so much equipment there that it's not unusual to see yearly that we have to replace one or more pieces of equipment. This year, we've got a 2-deck oven at South High School and 2 5-pan deep well steamers at North High School in the serving lines that need replacement. The project at South High School is simply a swap out of one oven for the other. At North High School, the installation is customized. It's in a stainless steel countertop cabinet, and we have to meet certain Department of Public Health codes, which makes installation expensive.
Oh.
At that, we're also well under budget here, again about 30% under budget. So we're real pleased with the bids we got. You would have imagined we'd see more bids. We had, I believe, 9 bidders on the list, and yet we only received bids from 3 vendors, but we're happy with those numbers.
Only one for North.
The low bidders, and we recommend the low bids from those bidders.
Any questions for Mr. Schock before I invite a motion?
In looking at the bid, you're looking for South High School to go with Great Lakes, and with North, obviously the only bid there is the Wasserstrom. Any negotiation to go with Wasserstrom for both and get a reduction for South High School?
If we cannot renegotiate bids and change the relative positions of bidders in that manner, depending how we put the bid package together, you can do that. But in this instance, we felt it was better to put the bid together this way and take the low bid, even if we ended up with 2 different contractors.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, with that, the chair would invite a motion to approve the bid award.
So moved.
Okay. Member Sapevich moves to award the bid as presented in the memorandum. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Member Davenport seconds. Any discussion? Call the vote, please.
Eric Pavsich.
Aye.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Nancy Kupka.
Aye.
Keith Mattoon.
Aye.
Julia Beckman.
Aye.
Deb Boyle.
Aye.
Bill White.
Aye, that motion carries. This bid has been approved. Return to item 10, old business. On the second reading of policies, I would ask, is there anybody who has any comments or discussions on any of these? Otherwise, I'll just start to move through them like I did last time. So if there's one that you want to talk about, let me know now, and I'll go more slowly when we reach that one. That said, I would move first on item 10A, the Policy Committee report on the second reading of the motion to approve Policy 5.20, Workplace Harassment Prohibited. Once again, this will apply to all of them. I'll simply say this once right now. The Policy Committee, myself and Ms. Kupka, has worked with members of the administration and the IASB recommended policies to examine both our existing policy, the recommended policy, and a discussion of current practice to make sure that all 3 are conforming. That's our goal. With that statement, without getting into specifics, I would move that Policy 5.20 be approved.
Second.
Member Kupka seconds. Any discussion? Call the vote, please.
Bill White.
Aye.
Nancy Kupka.
Aye.
Keith Mattoon.
Aye.
Terry Pavsich.
Aye.
Julia Beckman.
Aye.
Deb Boyle.
Aye.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. That policy has been approved. The same preamble applies to Policy 7.20, Harassment of Students Prohibited. I move that that policy be adopted at second reading. Is there a second?
Second.
Member Kupka seconds. Any discussion? Call the vote, please.
Bill White.
Aye.
Nancy Kupka.
Aye.
Keith Mattoon.
Aye.
Terry Pavsich.
Aye.
Julia Beckman.
Aye.
Deb Boyle.
Aye.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Okay, once again, that motion carries. The same preamble applies to Policy 7.60, where residents. Once again, I move that that policy be approved. Do I hear a Member Kupka seconds? Any discussion? Call that vote, please.
Bill White.
Aye.
Nancy Kupka.
Aye.
Keith Mattoon.
Aye.
Terry Pavsich.
Aye.
Julia Beckman.
Aye.
Deb Boyle.
Aye.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries, and that policy has been approved. Moving on to Sub D, Policy Committee report regarding release time for religious instruction. Once again, the same preamble applies. I move that Policy 7.80, release time religious, be approved.
Second.
Member Kupka seconds. Any discussion? Call the vote, please. Yeah.
Bill White.
Aye.
Nancy Kupka.
Aye.
Keith Mattoon.
Aye.
Terry Pavsich.
Aye.
Julie Beckman.
Aye.
Deb Boyle.
Aye.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Once again, that policy has been approved. That motion carries. Sub E, this is a motion to approve Policy 7.90, released during school hours. The same preamble applies as before. Once again, I move that Policy 7.90 be approved.
Second.
Member Kupka seconds. Any discussion? Call the vote, please.
Bill White.
Aye.
Nancy Kupka.
Aye.
Keith Mattoon.
Aye.
Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Julie Beckman.
Aye.
Deb Boyle.
Aye.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Once again, that policy's been approved. And finally, Subpart F, 7.180, the preventing of bullying. Once again, the same preamble applies, and I move that policy 7.180 be approved.
Second.
Member Kupka seconds. Any discussion? Call the vote.
Bill White.
Aye.
Nancy Kupka.
Aye.
Keith Mattoon.
Aye.
Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Julie Beckman.
Aye.
Deb Boyle.
Aye.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Okay, that policy's been approved. And we're moving through the policy manual rather quickly.
Getting a lot done.
Yes. Paragraph 11, new business. Once again, we have 6 items. I do have a specific comment about one. I ask, does anybody on the board wish any specific explanation on any of these? If not, as always, they're free to read them and contact myself, Ms. Kupka, Dr. McDonald, Dr. Smith, with any comments or corrections that you have there. Anybody?
I don't think so.
And they'll be
These were all recommended by the ISB, as you said, right? All of this language was?
And just the one comment that I want to make, I will be recommending that it be passed, but on search and seizure, I would hope that our administration would not go to the full extent of the law, except when there's really serious circumstances. That we want to give the authority in the event of extreme circumstances, but that it not be used for matters that aren't the most, that's just a policy. But the policy will be the policy, and that is simply a discretionary matter on behalf of the administration. Policy committee business, subpart B, new business subpart B, is the deletion of 2 policies, primarily because these are actually covered elsewhere. Anybody have any specific questions about either of these?
Bill?
Yes?
I'd like to come back to 7.140.
Certainly.
Search and seizure.
Search and seizure, and just point out to people that we did add language specifically under students to include search a student and or student's personal effects to include cell phones and electronic devices, including digital content.
Well, that's true. Thank you for reminding that, because the other thing I would want to recommend to make sure that we make clear next time, that it's also very important to me that these rules be clearly communicated to all parents and students so that there's no misunderstanding of the expectations. So what I would most want to have happen is that every student parent know before the school year begins what these rules are, so I don't want surprises. And to the extent that deters students from bringing things they shouldn't, we've accomplished that. That's a win-win. If we just don't want them, but we need to make it very clear to the parents and the students, what their rights are under the law, so that basically we all have the same common shared expectations about what's expected.
So, Mr. White, on behalf of the administration, I assure you that we will make that explicit to students and parents at the beginning of the school year through the student handbook and other means.
I have every confidence. I have every confidence that's going to happen. That's good.
And it will be in the handbook, you said.
I have every confidence.
Okay, so this is a completely new policy. Am I reading that correctly?
Well,
I don't believe it is. I believe it's
Always had a policy.
Oh,
is edited based on our current practice, our current policy, and what's recommended.
It doesn't look like
Oh, because I was kind of looking for the
there's no
original
date.
policy
Right.
to compare it to. That's why I was asking if this was, because usually you have the italicized, oh, sorry.
Right. Yeah, I don't think we had a prior one.
Oh, okay,
We
this
may
is
have
more of the student
practice
handbook
and
type.
custom, but not a written
situation.
policy.
Okay.
Mr.
Right.
White, so then can you explain, as a member, or you or Nancy as members of the policy committee, what is the intent and the purpose of 7.130 as far as enjoying the rights of the U.S. and Illinois constitutions? Have they not been provided for in the past? Is this something that's completely new? And how does that relate with what we were just talking about as far as search and seizure is concerned?
It's my understanding that, well, first of all, we have not had a written policy on this, but even in the absence of a written policy, the district is, of course, obligated to protect the rights of all students under the U.S. and Illinois Constitution, whether or not we have a policy. I think this simply codifies and makes more explicit for the purpose of the policy manual. The reason this comes forward is that there's a policy that's been promulgated by the Illinois Association of School Boards. It's one of the things where, well, it's kind of like, duh, of course we do. But by having...
Let's put it in print.
But by having the policy written down, that is the recommendation of the Illinois Association of School Boards. I would certainly hope, and I do believe, that we have consistently acknowledged the rights
Right. My only concern from a student perspective, from a school perspective, is that there isn't any dilution of what is currently happening now as far as practice is concerned. That this wasn't something that was brand new, that's going to be an expansion of student rights where we can wear any t-shirt or we can say whatever we want, and that all the discipline and stuff will still be exactly the same as it has in prior years.
I believe this is the first in a series of policies, Mr. Mattoon, regarding student conduct, student discipline, etc.
Okay.
And frankly, there are large and long policies and require a significant amount of work to sift through. And speaking for the policy committee, I believe, Mr. White is absolutely correct. This is one of those sort of pro forma statements. We find other ones in the policy, in our policy manual as recommended, with regard to certain things like civil rights and equal opportunity and so forth, that they recommend that we include. It's in our interest to include, but they don't really say much except the obvious, as you say. But in fact, there's a pretty substantial body of policy that we will be working on in the next couple months that will, in fact, we already have the policies in place, but what we're going to be doing is editing and revising, making sure they're current with all the new law as we have done. So this is kind of the first act or first part of that larger process. And we thought this was, frankly, kind of a no-brainer, since we were just saying we agree with the U.S. Constitution. One to get off the plate quickly, I guess, is what I would say.
It was meant more than as an overarching theme, and then from that, you'll codify with different policies.
Correct.
And one possibility might be an aspirational preamble to the other policies.
Thank you.
And we'll have a chance.
A lovely way to say it. No, I like that.
Is there any further discussion on these policies? This is again first reading. No action will be taken this evening. Okay, going back again to 10B, the deletion of two policies. I will move that policy 7.131 be deleted. First reading, and we can do that. The basic reason is that it's duplicated elsewhere.
Second.
Member Kupka seconds. Any discussion? And call that vote, please.
Bill White.
Aye.
Nancy Kupka.
Aye.
Keith Mattoon.
Aye.
Eric Pavasich.
Aye.
Julia Beckman.
Aye.
Deb Boyle.
Aye.
Mike Davenport.
Aye. Okay, that duplicate policy has been deleted. Now 7350 it's called survey questionnaire and gets into student privacy rights. That's been covered elsewhere as well. I again move that policy 7.350 be deleted.
Second.
Member Kupka seconds. Any discussion? Call the vote, please.
Bill White.
Aye.
Nancy Kupka.
Aye.
Keith Mattoon.
Aye.
Eric Pavasich.
Aye.
Julia Beckman.
Aye.
Deb Boyle.
Aye.
Mike Davenport.
Aye. Okay, that motion carries, and that policy's been deleted. Item 12, reception of visitors. Anybody out there want to talk to us? Please, okay. From the microphone. And
Hi, I'm Lynn Betelove at 4840 Sealy. I've one graduated last year and a junior right now, and one down the pike. If you sit there long enough, you think of lots of things to say, but I'll keep it brief. One, Dr. McDonald was kind enough to ask about my freshman in college this year, and I try to be positive tonight. She did say, I think you all should be proud of yourself, that while she's going to school with kids from some top high schools around the country, she feels very well prepared by the education she received from Downers Grove North. So thank you. My second point, also positive, would be that I am one of those people who watches the meetings online now. So I definitely think that that was a long time coming and necessary. To provide documentation of everything from information to behavior, nuances that you just could never get from a written report. So very essential. My only counterpoint would be that I am in a lot of seniors' homes as part of my profession, and they also do watch the village meetings, for example, on Channel 6. They're not going to YouTube. They're 90% of them probably aren't online. Some surprise you, but most aren't. So I don't know if at some point, I don't know if that's a goal, but to get those on Channel 16, I watch Channel 16. I do have a life, but that would be good. When you're folding laundry or doing whatever, you can get a lot done. And my last point would be, and this is more of a concern at Downers Grove North, there's no way to denigrate Mr. Kasich, because I think right now we definitely have the ship righted and the right leadership in place, from him to Mr. Hines, the chair of the science department. But I will say, as a parent who strongly disagreed with the vote of the board 2 years ago to dismiss a certain teacher, which I don't want to beat a dead horse, but the repercussions continue. There is a ripple effect. We are now on, I think, our third or fourth science teacher in that department that's being dismissed in the last 2 years. I don't know if it's true this year, but the rumor mill has it said that we're going to be losing another new higher level science teacher, and it's unacceptable. We have a new board. Not everybody was a part of that decision. I don't think that decision should have ever come to the board, to be honest with you, or to Dr. McDonald, who I also greatly respect. It shouldn't have never happened. But I want to continue to be able to say, for my next child, she got the best education possible. I don't know that I can say that about my second one because of what's gone on the past 2 years because of that decision. So anyway, thank you for letting me speak. Good night.
Good to know.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Item 13, is there a Len report?
We'll be meeting next Friday, and we'll have a report afterwards to follow.
Okay, item B, SACID.
SACID meets Wednesday. I'll have a report after that.
Foundation?
We're just working on the details for the after homecoming events that are going to be at the Moose Hall, one after North and one after South's homecoming, as an alumni type gathering. And that's about all we're working on right now. So,
any other communications or announcements any board member wishes to share? Okay, upcoming board meetings. 2 weeks from this evening, we're going to have a specially called meeting to deal with bids, and maybe we'll sneak a few things in there. We'll try not to.
I did think of one thing.
Okay.
IASB did send me, if anybody is interested in putting a resolution together.
Yes.
Yeah, I almost forgot about that. That we need to think about them now because they will need to be handed in quite soon.
And what was the deadline again?
Well,
in May sometime?
yeah, I think it was the end of May or something. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And then, so again, a special meeting in 2 weeks, and then our normal workshop meeting on May 7th, and our the joint boards education meeting on May 9th, and then a regular business meeting on May 21st.
Busy.
With that, I would ask the board whether we want to spend maybe.
I was going to suggest that I think the hour is still early, that if we wanted to move into closed session, I would be in favor of that.
Any other discussion on that point? Any contrary opinion? Let's put it that way.
No, that's fine.
Okay, then just so the public knows, for purposes of the tape, at the beginning of our meeting, we were unable to conclude all of our discussion in the closed session. We decided to adjourn that closed session to come an open session to keep the audience from waiting much past 7:30. We started within a few minutes of 7:30. So now what we're going to do is invite a motion to go into closed session to review that prior discussion. With that, the chair would invite a motion to go and do closed session. We really have
I'll
to
make the motion. I'll read it.
Yeah, okay.
I'll make the motion to go into closed session for the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the district or legal counsel for the district, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee or against legal counsel for the district to determine its validity.
I think we should do both read. Okay, is that one? Okay.
Is that one?
That was the right one? Okay.
That's the one.
That's the right one.
That's the right one.
Call that vote, please.
Deb Boyle.
Aye.
Keith Mattoon.
Aye.
Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Julia Beckman.
Aye.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Nancy Kupka. Aye. Bill White.
Aye. We are once again in closed session.